Once cleaned, propolis can be eaten or swallowed, and no other preparation is required to consume it. To make a propolis tincture, you will put your propolis pieces in a sealable jar, like a mason jar, and pour 130 proof, 65% grain alcohol over the propolis to cover it. Do not use rubbing alcohol. It's a totally different creature, and rubbing alcohol is not made for human consumption. You will put the lid on your jar and leave it for 2 weeks and shake it daily. The alcohol will dissolve the propolis during that time. You can filter it so it is a liquid only, or leave it as it is. Put the tincture into brown glass bottles with an eyedropper. This tincture can be used for wounds or an oral treatment by droplets. To create a propolis powder, you will freeze your chunks of propolis and then grind them up with a hand grinder. Don't use an electric grinder, they get too hot and it will gum things up. Or you can grind it with a Morton pestle to turn it into a powder. Another method to create a powder is to use grain alcohol, as mentioned above, to dissolve the propolis to avoid having to grind it into a powder. Pour alcohol over the propolis and also add an oil, such as castor oil or olive oil, and leave the lid off the jar, allowing all the alcohol to evaporate, which takes about a week, leaving behind the dissolved propolis in the oil. Then that oil can be used to make a salve or a balm. The propolis powder can easily be mixed with honey and sold in jars, or you can add it to an oil such as olive oil, which is mentioned. Olive oil is antifungal and antibacterial, so it adds to the health of your creation. You can use that oil and some beeswax to make into a salve for a healing salve. Consider combining propolis with a healing herb such as calendula flower petals or plantain leaves and make that into a salve. The powder can be added to water for an oral treatment or an eye treatment that doesn't have alcohol in it or oil. The powdered propolis can also be put into capsules and sold as a supplement to be taken daily. Finally, please always remember that for honeybees, this antifungal and antibacterial product that the bees make from tree resins and add beeswax is what helps the immunity of the hive. And so you need to respect that the bees also need propolis for their health. So never remove too much of it. In fact, if you concentrate on only scraping propolis from the honey supers, that is best for the health of the bees. Bees can only make propolis in the spring because that's when the trees are budding out and that's where they collect the resins from. So in the fall, the bees are desperate looking for extra propolis, and they will move it around in the hive where they need it when they're sealing up and winterizing their hive. So if you have extra propolis you haven't used, and you haven't done anything, you haven't added alcohol to it, give it back to the bees and they will recycle it.